So Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, last week she did one of the greatest gaslights of all time, this lady, where she implied that it's the Republicans. She said something to the effect of, some might say it's the Republicans who've been wanting to defund the police. Complete and utter nonsensical bullshit. Well, she's continuing her string of complete and utter nonsensical bullshit at her most recent press conference, where now she's saying that Joe Biden ran on funding the police and law and order. Now, I have no recollection. And again, I will go into the YouTube comment section. Somebody find me the video. But that's what she's saying right now. I have no recollection of Joe Biden ever saying he wanted to fund the police. The whole Democratic base was calling for defund the police. And we've got the video. We're going to show it to you again. But first, here's Psaki.
And the president ran on, most importantly, did not run on defunding the police. He's always opposed defunding the police. I'll also note, because you've asked this question before or a few times over the last several days, that when we talk about individuals in Congress and their support for funding or opposition to funding for the police, I think what the American people are most focused on is how people vote, what their record is, which is a public record. And I will note that while the president ran on and won the most votes of any candidate in history on a platform of boosting funding for law enforcement after Republicans spent decades trying to cut the cops program, which again is public record. We don't need to undervalue the intelligence of the American people. The president ran on increasing that funding. It's in his budget. In President Trump's budget, he significantly cut that. So that's a change.
I don't like this lady. Everything she does is undervaluing the intelligence of the American people. But let's get the exact quote. I've got the quote for you that she said there in case you missed it. She said, the president ran on and won the most votes of any candidate in the history of the platform of boosting funding for law enforcement after Republicans spent decades trying to cut the cops program. What are you talking about? I have no recollection. I watched every single debate. I am fairly well versed in the political machinations of the day. I am a man of the media. I have no recollection of Biden talking about boosting policing, complaining that the Republicans were cutting funding for the police. I have no evidence that Republicans were cutting the police anywhere. It's been the complete reverse. But if you don't believe me, Steve Scalise tweeted out this compilation video. It's a little bit different from the one we showed you last week. I think you'll enjoy it.
Why use the word defund? Why use the word defund?
Yes, I support the defund movement.
This is the word that's coming from the streets.
A growing cry to defund the police.
There's some issues that we ask police to do, like mental health issues or policing in schools and all the rest, that perhaps we can shuffle some of that money around.
We will not be increasing our police budget.
We propose to redirect over $7 million from the Police Bureau.
The use of stormtroopers under the guise of law and order.
We've got to re-examine what we're doing with American taxpayer dollars.
We need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
The Minneapolis City Council voting 9-3 in favor of disbanding the police department.
Today in New York, Mayor Bill de Blasio announced a plan to defund the NYPD.
I want people to understand that we are committed to shifting resources.
So cities across the country are seeing a major spike in violent crime now.
Violent crime is way up and claiming victims here in Los Angeles at a rate we haven't seen in decades.
Crime surging in Democrat-led cities that slashed police funding last year. Murders up 46%.
A scary scene earlier this week in New York City. So to shoot out in the middle of the street during broad daylight.
The White House trying to shift blame because crime is out of control. The Biden administration is desperately trying to spin a new narrative. Now it's the Republicans who support defunding the police.
Democrats embraced this crazy radical idea of defunding the police last summer.
All right, so you know that war on reality I'm always talking about, and how if you have friends and family that watch CNN and read the New York Times and Washington Post or whatever else it is, they live in a very different reality. Well, that's it right there. So perhaps show them that little 2-minute montage. We'll clip it, I'll put it on the Twitter, and you can send it to them. And then you can check them into a mental institution, because the cognitive dissonance that they will have, the inability to deal with reality as it is, not the narrative that they like, will probably snap their brains. And then, you'll have to visit them once a week, and it's a whole situation. I get it. That's why people don't want to do it. The line that I liked in there, though, was Nancy Pelosi, because I did not know this, stormtroopers under the guise of law and order. I mean, if we're getting stormtroopers involved, like, are we talking about clone soldiers? Are we going back to Camino and making that whole thing happen? Or are we going to kidnap children when they're very young and turn them into super soldiers? You know, okay. You got my point, guys. Yeah, it's just a lie. Psaki's a liar. The Democrats are liars. Biden did not run on boosting funding to the police. And yes, it is true that in Democrat-run cities, all hell is breaking loose related to violence. Look what's going on in Chicago. Can we get the numbers from Chicago? Let's do it. It's Monday. We should have a fun, like 70s game show theme song play when I get this. Let's get the murders in Chicago today. How many? It's 80. So there were 80, I'm guessing shootings, not actual murders. We're going to get the numbers. 88 shootings. How many were fatal? 14 dead. 88 shootings this weekend in Chicago. The mayor of Chicago, by the way, is Lori Lightfoot, who is the mayor who said that she won't be interviewed except by black and brown journalists. She also, we were going to play the clip today, but we decided not to do it. A few days ago, she was interviewed, and she said that 99% of the criticism of her is because her critics are racist. I am not racist, Lori Lightfoot, but you were an incompetent buffoon, and 14 people in your city died this weekend, and 88 were shot. So you see, you might have a problem there, and it has nothing to do with me being racist.